And a very good Wednesday morning to all of you. Welcome in, Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Good to have you along as always. And if you are new to the show, well, welcome aboard. If you have listened to the show, viewed the show, all of the above, you know that we stream it live 11 to 1. Monday through Friday on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. Also, you can check us out on YouTube. Type in the Chico Bormann Show. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You'll be all set to go. We now have the show available and refreshed every day. iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify. We've got a podcast edition, or I should say a later version of the show, of the live show, audio only. So you can check that out. It's our social media guys and gals are busting their humps, and we're going to be raring to go come football season, which is right around the corner. Oh yeah, it is right around the corner. And also right around the corner is the Browns' final preseason game coming up this Saturday against the Kansas City Chiefs. In KC. We'll get to that here in just a second. We got some Guardians news to get to and some interesting comments by Terry Francona. We're going to cover that a little bit later in the show. It's a Wednesday. That means we're talking baseball with Brett Boone, the former All-Star second baseman. And the thing I love about Booney, like he's, and Bohm, you know this, like he's basically, you can go in and ask me whatever you want. You need to ask me, like. You know, and he's not going to they've lost 9 in a row, the Yankees have. And I think, now I'm wondering if it's to the point, because I think the majority of this, and I've said this before, and it has nothing to do with Brett, I think the majority of this is on Cashman. I mean, when you've got guys like Giancarlo Stanton do, upwards of $100 million still left on his contract, and you made some really, really bad moves. Now you've had some bad luck along the way, but you've made some really, really bad moves. And so I think the majority of this falls on Brian Cashman. But I wonder, with everything that's happened and the tirades and just everything, if this isn't one of those, it's best for all involved if we just part ways. But we'll pose that to Booney coming up at noon as he joins us. You can chime in as well, 216-626-7901. Again, 216-626-7901. And, of course, tweet the show at Chico Show CLE. Also, my personal Twitter is at Big Play Chico. Bohm is here. Well-parted hair. Wait, hey. The stash is gone. I didn't even notice until right now. The stash is gone. What led to the...
I didn't want it to fall too far behind the beard.
But didn't you say you were keeping it for...
Yeah, I changed my mind. I don't know if the stash is for me.
Well, no. You said you were... I thought you said somebody asked you to...
Yeah, Dave said I should just keep it for the week.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me it was Dave. I thought it was like a girl thing or something.
Well, I'd gotten a compliment or two. I couldn't do it.
That sounded very confident. I've gotten a compliment or two. It's all right, Bohm. You can say that, if they really dig it, they think you're...
I don't dig it.
Well, I mean, as I've said many times, with your gigs and the videos that you post of you at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, just going out on that guitar, and then with the mustache that you just mysteriously came back with, they're probably thinking like, wow, have I seen him in the movies before? I don't think I've seen him in like comedy or... Oh, it was X-rated. Yes, that's kind of what you look like. There's not many guys. I mean, think of this. There was a day where you didn't really think twice when somebody had a mustache, but now I can't see, unless it's an older person, I can't see someone my age or around my age with just a mustache and not think that they're trying to, there's something they're trying to prove, or they're trying to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I went to a wedding earlier this year, right? And it was a guy, singer of my first band. You know, we were playing together in a band back in like OSU days. So he had a mustache. I was just like, whoa. What's
For the wedding?
strategy? Yeah.
But see, obviously I mean, that's one of those. If the wife
She
likes
definitely
it,
approved.
yeah. If the wife wants it, then you happy, home, happy wife, all that good stuff. But
I feel naked without it now, but I felt so weird with it.
you feel naked without your mustache.
Just
You didn't
like
even
without any facial hair.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming back though. You know.
Yeah,
a few days.
You'll get that beard going. Well,
Yeah.
we're pulling for you, Bohm. We think
Thanks, Chico.
we think good things are ahead for you as far as facial hair. All right. So we got, as I said, Booney coming up at noon. Lot to get to. Before we go any further, I arrived today and I saw happy birthday balloons, and I thought maybe it was a belated celebration for our fearless leader, Ken Miles. It's not. I thought maybe you were having a birthday and you didn't want to speak up. I knew it wasn't my birthday. Apollo, an emotional support dog here at the Port Authority here at Burke Lakefront Airport, just turned a year old today. The most chill dog you'll ever see, Boom. Like, I went out there and I thought it was like a canine type, and those usually they're so well trained, like they're not just going to run up and attack you unless they're given the command. But here's the thing. I walked out there and I said to the owner, one of the security guys and officers there, I said, well, it's kind of amazing how dogs like this, like they're so relaxed and chill right now, but then snap of a finger, he's like, oh, no, he's not a canine dog. He's an emotional support. I need what Apollo has. We all need what Apollo has. The chill pill, as they used to call that. But happy birthday. Happy first birthday to Apollo. Bohm, are you going to see, you're the rock star. You should sing and play. Did you bring your guitar?
No, I didn't, Chico.
I mean, you didn't know for sure. I mean,
to be fair, I had heard about this birthday party. I forgot what time it was, but I forgot.
Why am I not in the loop on this stuff?
You had to go down to the office, Chico, not just like bolt out as soon as the show ends.
Well, some of us actually do work to prepare for the show, Bohm. We don't get it. We don't have the opportunity to come in at 10:59, 45 and be like, "Hey, Chico, how's it going?"
Yeah, but I can't cut any clips before the show.
Right, but I need to prepare.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, could I stay a little bit? Yes, but
maybe next time if they have pizza, you could just
well, the other thing is I never know what's going on down there. Like,
me neither.
There's a lot of, I'm sure, high-powered executive meetings and social media stuff, and I, it's not like I can offer my 2 cents. Yeah, I think you should put that on a reel. All right, see you guys. Like, I don't know what I'm going to say in one of those meetings. They just say, hey, do the show, which I love to do every day. I love preparing for the show. I love lining up guests. Believe it or not, you do have to do a little bit of work. But I just find that it's probably best if unless called upon, I just kind of leave the wizards back there to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way, but now I working on an additional show. I have to go down there to do some work.
Oh, yes, the Buckeye Show with Carpenter. Now, has Bobby Carpenter figured out your name?
I'm not sure. I think everyone's just rolling with the whole boner thing.
Yes. So for those that don't know, we're going to be having, first of all, Mondays, 9 a.m., I believe, is when we're airing it. Is that right?
Sundays at 8 p.m. is the goal. We were initially talking Mondays.
Man, I'll tell you what, Dave, I'll get something from Dave the night before, and by the time I wake up, it's changed.
This info, the fact that it changed was exclusive to the group text, the show group text.
Yeah, so which I wouldn't be a part of. That's fine.
I mean, if you wanted to get in on it.
No. So, okay, so when is it going to air?
It's going to air Sunday evenings at 8 p.m.
So when do you have to tape?
We're going to tape it, like, right before that. So Sundays I'm going to be, like, finishing a Browns game, right? Get off the phone or get off the board with Jim Donovan. Then drive over to Big Play.
Look at that. Get off the phone with Jim Donovan. Then I got to
talk to... Good call, Jimmy. I'll talk to you later.
Then I got to talk to Schlegel and Rob Carpenter.
Browns and Buckeyes, my two favorite teams, Chico.
I said Rob Carpenter. That's his dad. His dad goes Rob
Yeah,
Carpenter.
but technically he's probably a Robert Carpenter
He
too.
is. Bobby. But you're right. You're right. He is definitely a Robert. All right. Go ahead. Boom.
I sometimes like calling people by their full name, even if that's not what they go by.
Just to see if it could piss them off.
No, not to piss them off, just to be like weird.
Which usually would, I mean, if you don't know the person.
If I don't know. I feel like I'd have to know them a little bit. They have to know my goofiness.
That's funny because just this morning this happened to me. I saw a buddy of mine and he called me Michael.
I was just thinking.
Like not even Chico, like most people just say Chico and by now whatever. And it wasn't even Chico or Mike. He's like, "Good morning, Michael." And his name is Len or Lenny. So I'm like, "Well, good morning to you, Leonard." Like, we don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? We just don't. We don't call people by their real names.
I like doing that. I love breaking it out from time to time.
Well, you would fit right in. You would fit right in. All right, what do you say we get into the show a little bit here? Let's do that. We got the Browns and Chiefs coming up on Saturday. Boom. Here's the reality of the situation, and this is not news for anybody. You may not want to believe it, but it shouldn't come as a surprise. So we know that this is the final preseason game for your Cleveland Browns leading up to the opener, September the 10th, at home against Joe Burrow, looking like he may play. Who knows yet? But the Cincinnati Bengals coming to town September 10th, and that's for real. Bullets flying, they count. It's in the standings. Everything is affected, okay? So what we should be talking about is, man, it's going to be cool to see Deshaun Watson maybe for a half or, little less, but it's going to be good to see Deshaun Watson. Hey, you know what? We heard the other day that Sunday was a great practice day as far as the passing game, which it's been kind of wonky throughout camp, which you're going to get with, guys being out, guys being injured. So I should be talking about, man, you know what I'm most excited to see is I want to see Deshaun, connect on a few, big plays to Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore. And that's all true. I'm not dismissing that. But here we go again. and don't blame the messenger. This isn't my fault. Cade York. Only now I think this conversation easily shifts into, okay, if Cade York doesn't have a good game Saturday, 1 o'clock against Kansas City, and I'll leave that to your interpretation. If he goes to put it this way, I get the feeling now if he doesn't make all his kicks, that this is the same conversation we're going to be having. But again, unlike last week, now there's no more preseason. Now you're winding down. That time is getting shorter and shorter to September 10th and opening day. They've got to make a decision, okay? And I know what Kevin Stefanski's saying, and I respect what Kevin Stefanski's saying. This is what he should say. We believe in our guy. We believe in our guy. Guess what? They don't know, and they don't feel any stronger about him than you and I do. That's just the truth. Because you can tell me, and we have heard, he's made so many consecutive kicks in practice. As our employee AI says, the answer, that's practice. We're talking about practice. This is real stuff. This is why kickers, it's a whole different animal, as I've said many, many times. And, this is not, I know I've heard some people say, like, man, you guys are really just crushing Cade York. I'm not crushing him. I mean, I was happy when they drafted him. I'm not happy. I shouldn't say that. I was reluctantly happy when they drafted him. Like, well, I don't like to waste a fourth round pick on a kicker, but if it solves the problem and we no longer have to worry about that, then so be it. Great. But here we are. And this is, the fact that we're even discussing this is borderline making me upset. Well, don't talk about it. Well, I could, but I wouldn't be honest with anybody. This is the main storyline going into Saturday at 1. Yeah, a little bit of Deshaun Watson looking good and Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and whoever's I think the only 2 guys that probably won't play in this game. Now, this is just me talking. I don't know last-minute injuries or hold them out, whatever. Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, I would say we're not going to see and really don't need to see until September 10th. Everybody else, fair game. So there's a lot to look forward to in the final preseason game. Normally, it's just, hey, bubble wrap, get them ready. Not this time. But this is the storyline. We can pretend like it's not, but it is. And here's what really concerns me more than anything else. Like, I'm not blaming right now Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry because, look, they're going to get behind him. It doesn't do them any good or Cade any good or anybody any good to say, yeah, you know what, our kicker, boy, he's really been stinking up the joint. It'd be nice if he could make a kick or 2 in a game. And so you keep, because it's a mental thing. I mean, it's clearly a mental thing. This is not, well, this kid doesn't have the ability. He can boot it from, from the airport and probably, if we're talking distance, just shy of the crossbar over there at Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Maybe he'll get a good cart bounce. A lot of concrete. Get a good bounce out of that.
Yes. But if it's for real, then it skips like a rock would on Lake Erie, just everywhere. And which even the kicks he made, I mentioned this yesterday, and I know it sounds like we're picking on him, but again, let's be honest. Even the kicks he makes, you're like, well, it was good, but didn't look great.
Timmy Wakefield out here throwing knucklers.
Look at you, Bohm. You were just. I put that on the tee, and you were ready to swing away. You were ready to hit that one to the warning track,
like Happy Gilmore. I was running up to the tee for that one.
Yes, you were. And I'll give you a little bit of credit. I didn't know if you. Yeah, you know. Tim Wakefield doesn't surprise me, so that's a good one.
Yeah, baseball video games. Shout out Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball. He was one of my favorite pitchers in that game. He was so dominant.
And just as quickly as I was happy with Bohm,
I did remember him from I've been to a game where he pitched.
No, he doesn't. No.
Yeah, back in the Cleveland Indians days.
Okay. Here's the reality, Bohm. And I'm not going to pretend to know the answers I'm not going to pretend like this is easy on Stefanski and Berry. Ultimately, this is Andrew Berry's decision. I mean, it's going to be a collaboration, obviously. Bubba Ventrone. Somebody said, I was reading on Twitter that Bubba Ventrone had his camera out videoing yesterday. Now, I'm not saying that's altogether like just weird or odd, but it's just, doesn't it kind of feel like one of those things? They have cameras everywhere, but this kind of feels like one of those. Even though I'm sure he's poured over film of them, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear that Ventrone has his camera, his phone out, and he's like, all right, I think I see. That's what we're doing a couple weeks before with a 4th-round draft choice, a guy that has one of the best legs, but right now this is a huge, not little, huge question mark heading into September 10th. Now, because this is what I do, and this is what a lot of us in this industry do, and you can hate it, you can love it, whatever, but it is what we do. I'm going to start thinking a little bit hypothetically if this doesn't go well on Saturday, okay? So let's say, Bohm, that he makes 2 of 4. It's just like the last preseason game. I mean, it's basically a carbon copy. He misses one left, he misses one right, and you just don't feel comfortable. If my opinion would be, you can't go into week 1 with him. Again, these games, this is no longer 2016 or 7. Your window is right now. Okay, so you can't, in good faith, and I know you want to say we believe in him, but okay, they're professionals. This is the hard business that it is. It's the bottom line business. It's not like, other positions where like, well, you know what, he ran the wrong route or he made the wrong read. This is just, And I'm not trying to simplify it, okay? I can't do it, but there's a reason why I wasn't drafted in the 4th round a couple years. I was waiting. They didn't call me. So you either make it or you don't make it. And as long as you make them, and now, okay, you're in the good graces, and unfortunately, it's like an offensive lineman. You're not going to get a whole lot of praise until you start to stink it up or somebody, your quarterback gets clocked. Hey, what are we doing? But then, much like a Justin Tucker or an Adam Vinatieri, now you get to the playoffs, and now you start making kicks in the playoff, and now you're really like a part of the team. Like you're, okay, yeah, those guys, he's not there yet. So this is where I say I'm going to fast forward a little bit, assume the worst, which I don't like to do. If Andrew Berry doesn't cut him and bring in, let's say Robbie Gould. I don't know if Robbie, I know he's still out there. I don't know if he would want, I would think he'd want a job. I would feel, there is nobody out there that could tell me they wouldn't feel much better with Robbie Gould kicking right now than Cade York. I'm not saying I want that to play out. I want Cade to stripe 4 field goals and 2 extra points on Saturday and leave no doubt. That's what I want. But unfortunately, we have to be realistic. Bohm, if Andrew Berry keeps him on the roster, and, we brought up this scenario time and again, 24-22, 6 seconds to go. They call timeout, get it spiked, and here we go. On comes the field goal unit. Here's Cade York, the second-year man out of LSU. This will be a 44-yard. Nobody's feeling good about it. He misses it. Guess now what happens? It's not just the fans that are ticked off, and this is really important. I'm not saying the fans aren't important. They're very important. But now you're going to piss off guys in the locker room because you're going to have guys, and this is, again, reality. You might not like to hear it, but it's reality. I just worked my ass off for 3 hours, okay? I just got my head beat in for 3 hours. I gave everything I had, and we turned it over to this guy, and he missed another one. Now, again, that's not every kicker, even Justin Tucker. It doesn't happen once in a blue moon, but it's not like you have to. But at this point, you're in danger, and I'm thinking way ahead, but I don't care what people think. You're in danger of, if you keep this guy on the roster, he doesn't perform well on Saturday, then he screws up week 1, you've not only got the fans booing, you've got some in the locker room that are behind closed doors, and that's the last thing this team needs, right? Like, this is the year that you get, you have Deshaun Watson for a full year, obviously you have a ton of talent, but as I've been saying for how long now, hey, you got to prove it. And proving it not only includes, you gotta have the talent, you gotta make the plays, but now that culture has to change, and you can't have the bickering. What's the first thing that could divide a locker room or really not sit well? That right there, that scenario that I just laid out is possible. I hope it's not the case, but if he does not look good, just say it's a carbon copy of what we saw last week. If that is the case, and he's still on the roster on September 10th, I don't envy Andrew Berry. Like I said, it's his decision. I mean, he's the guy making the 53. It's going to be, Bubba Ventrone and Kevin Stefanski. They're all going to collaborate, and I think I believe that. In previous years, Browns organizations, Browns front offices, collaboration was a joke. Like, they talk about it, but they weren't on the same page. These guys are. Like, they listen to each other. But ultimately, this is on Andrew Berry. Like, Berry has to make this call, and hopefully it's not much of a call. Like I said, Saturday he does. But this can be a week-to-week thing. I mean, we were talking about, with Shook a couple of weeks ago. It was the Philly kicker, right? Or was it the Philly kicker or the Dallas kicker? Now I can't remember. It was the Dallas kicker.
I wasn't here a couple weeks ago.
Well, you don't have to be here. I think it was Dallas. I think it was Dallas's kicker. Where basically, like, he had Chuck Knobloch. Like he couldn't make it. So like now, then it got to a point where even extra points, like we're going for 2. We're, and this is the stuff that like I shouldn't have to say this, but I need to say it. I will say it. This is the stuff that they have bigger fish to fry right now than worrying about a kicker that they drafted in the 4th round last year, worrying about him being able to make the roster and perform his duties on September 10th. Now, they have bigger fish to fry. They should have bigger fish to fry. Is that really the fish being fried? No, because this is what we're talking about, and it's what they're talking about, whether they want to admit it or not. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's like something that if you had a competent kicker, it would just make everything so much better. To your point, I just really hate having to stress over this. But, like, I feel like if...
But I'm not... Okay, now, having said that, let me ask you this question. Fair or foul, Boom? Am I making this... Am I being overly dramatic? Am I exaggerating it?
No, I mean, I think if Andrew Berry didn't draft Cade York, he would have already been long gone. I feel like that's, like, the only thread he's hanging by right now. In this last game, I hope he does get put into a clutch situation. And I hope that he gets that chance to redeem himself. But if he doesn't, or if he blows it, I don't know how you could ride with him in week 1.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You can say, and they can say, let's say they do ride with him for the next, because there's still, a couple weeks after Saturday before September 10th gets here. The thing is, nobody's going to want to hear, well, you know what? In practice, we've been hearing that for how long? I mean, this kid's, he's booting him in from Beechwood, for crying out loud. I mean, great. He's got a great leg and great. He's accurate, but ultimately, Harrison Butker, fair or unfair, last year in the Super Bowl, hey, bro, like this is what your life, this is what your legacy is going to come to. If you miss this kick and the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, think of, the Bills kicker. This is a real thing, and it's the part of kicking that we don't really like to talk about until we have to talk about it, and we have to talk about it. Like Robbie Gould, I don't care if Robbie Gould still has a leg, but I don't care if well, you know what, you're not going to even be able to attempt a 50-yarder, which I don't think is true. I can't speak to that, what his range is now. All I know is I need that guy to be somewhat, if not always, automatic when it comes to 40 to 48 or that range. Just, And Robbie Gould, again, back to last year, money kicks, postseason, 8 of 8. That's what kickers do. They're not applauded for it. They're not, but until now you have a nightmare scenario. And, there honestly is nobody out there outside of Cade York and Cade York's family that are sitting there saying, oh, no, I feel more comfortable with Cade kicking than Robbie Gould. I don't think anybody out there can say that.
Now, Chico, if he kicks a game winner here in this preseason finale, obviously I think that would justify keeping him. But does that make you feel any better at all about, I guess, your confidence?
Fair question. Very fair question. What has he done up to that game winner? Now, because I want to say, well, you made it, if it's 48 and it's dead center, I can't believe we're discussing this. But, seriously,
If the game winner is a knuckler, does that change it for you?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Because, this is, we're all trying to pretend, or maybe we're not at this point, that, we feel good. And I'm not counting Barry and Stefanski. Like I said, this is their job. They have to do that. But all I'm saying is come Saturday at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, when this game will be most likely long over with. What has Cade York done? And I don't want to, here's the other thing. I don't want to hear well, we didn't even try him to kick because, we have confidence. No, you don't. No, you don't. I think Joe Thomas nailed it right on the head when he said that 50-yard in the third quarter, he had already made all his kicks. They want to keep his confidence high. And all it did was kind of play out in that scenario. Okay, well, here we go. We've got minute 30 to go. We're going to line up for a 47-yard field goal, and he missed it. Well, it's not okay. Nothing bad. We got a penalty flag. Let's do it again. All right, now he's going to miss it, but he's going to miss it left. All of that went right out the window, and what Joe Thomas said was ringing in my ears, and I know it was ringing in thousands of other people's ears. The reason why he didn't want it, you don't go for 4th and 3 because you want to see Kellen Mond in that situation. It's a 50-yarder. I want to see Cade York. Let's see if we got to keep doing this. This is a confidence thing, not only for the team and for the coaches, but for Cade. So I think Joe nailed it. At the time, I thought it was like a big, not a big statement, but wow, that's why we like Joe Thomas. He's going to tell it like it is. He's not going to be an ass about it, but that's kind of what we were all thinking to some degree, and he said it. I don't know. Oh, by the way, it'll be fun to watch Deshaun Watson in the first-team offense coming up on Saturday. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I still think it's interesting. This is the first year that I can recall where it's like you don't necessarily have you have Cade, who is in place as the set kicker, but you don't even have competition. I feel like just reminiscing over previous Browns seasons, considering that kicking position, there's always been a competition. So I don't know if it's the right approach or not. I can see how it's more stressful. I could also see how it's more motivating. I just think it's interesting to note this approach. And I also wonder further if I guess this failed experiment doesn't work out, if that might be something that played a part in it.
Here's the thing. I want to reiterate this. As it stands right now, I don't fault Barry or Stefanski I don't, it's funny. I think it was Nick the other day that said Justin Tucker has a personal, a kicking coach. Not that he needs one, but the best have one, right? Or maybe it was when I was talking to Reflog. Justin Tucker,
let's start
Adam Vinny. Go ahead.
Let's start a petition for the Browns to hire Phil Dawson to be Cade's kicking coach.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would work. I honestly,
but it would be a fun fan thing.
I think it would make the fans. It would make the fans happy. But my God, this is what we're back to. Like with the Guardians, Manny Ramirez says, "Well, I'd love to." Of course, he would say he would love to be the hitting coach. It's Manny. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a good one just because you had a beautiful swing. But damn it, when you're searching for anything, when you're grasping at straws, and right now you don't want to hear this. But we're all grasping at straws. We're trying to find a reason, some reason, any reason to believe that Cade York if you bring in Phil, he might feel more pressure. Like, this dude's a legend. This guy, the fans actually want him to take my uniform off my back, wear it, and they want him to go out and kick. I don't know what's going through Cade's mind. I don't care what he says. It's about action. We can, and I want to believe that he does. I want him to be confident in himself. Deep down, there's a reason why he's missing 47-yarders to the right and then a 42-yarder to the left. Because ultimately, and by the way, let's get rid of I know we brought it up because it was Bjorquez and the holds and no. Dave Zastudil, longtime kicker in the NFL here, OU, Bobcat. He said, look, I've watched every kick. I've watched a hold. It's Cade. It's not Bjorquez. Unless as soon as it's snapped, something that nobody can see, but it's audible, like, miss it! Unless that's what he's doing, then no, this is not on court.
He's greasing the ball down. When he spins it, he just slides a little bit of grease on it.
I don't know. I'm curious what fans, what is the mindset? Because it's one thing for me to say it and people to roll their eyes, and that's fine. I'm used to that. I will say, though, that I at least like to pride myself in being honest, being genuine, and having a bit of a pulse for fans. Some of them I don't. I fully admit that. But for the most part, like, I mean, I'm a fan just like anybody else. Grew up here and rooted for, yeah. So I don't think I'm way off base. I don't think I'm exaggerating this. I think this is real. And if it doesn't happen on Saturday, that's it. Like his career with the Browns. And I know what, here's the thing. Then he's going to resurface somewhere and he's going to do well and they're going to blame the Browns. You can't do that. Like, I hear that all the time, and some of it is true with Guardians moving on from a guy like Nolan Jones, and now here. I get all of that. You're not going to bat 1,000 with stuff like that, and it's going to be even more under the microscope when you're struggling as they are offensively. But, like, this thing with kickers, like I said, if he doesn't do well on Saturday, you can't sit there and say, oh, yeah, just give him time. He'll be all right. Nobody's going to be saying that. And you might say 3 years from now, oh, I didn't want him to be cut. I knew he was going to be great. No, you didn't. I mean, we know that he has an incredible leg. You don't get drafted in the 4th round if you're not extra special as a kicker. And we know that you made 57 yards in the fog or whatever the hell it was. But unfortunately, now we need you to do this in the National Football League when it counts. Not in Berea, not at practice. At stadiums, your own and all across the National Football League. And right now, nobody really believes that he can do that. I'm not even sure he does. All right, 216-626-7901. Also on Twitter at Chico Show CLE. YouTube, you can weigh in with your comments there as well. If you're not a subscriber yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Go jump on YouTube right now, type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe, and you'll be all set to go. We'll take a break. When we come back, fair or foul with Boner. And then after Michael Bombastic, we will have Brett Boone talking baseball. And, man, speaking where it's things are hot, not a lot of happy campers in the Big Apple. We'll put it that way. Brett Boone, the former All-Star second baseman, will join us coming up at noon right here on the Chico Bormann Show on the Big Play Sports Network. Welcome back. Chico Bormann Show here on this Wednesday, well, still morning, as we inch ever so close to noon. Brett Boone, former All-Star second baseman, joining us as he does each and every Wednesday, going around the diamond. Right? Now, Bohm, I appreciate that for you take the liberty of doing the write-up for the show, and I appreciate that. I'm serious. I wouldn't have said the Guardians showing. I mean, a win over the Dodgers red hot, and the stack lineup it's nice. I don't know if I'd say it's a sign of life. We're going to get into more of the Guardians coming up next hour. Go ahead. You can defend yourself.
It was a spark, Chico. It felt like a little bit of a resurgence occurring. Like players stepped up. That was huge in clutch moments. God.
Cole Calhoun with
the way that Guardians Twitter was just swooning over Cole Calhoun after
You didn't
that.
even watch the game, Bohm.
I did. I was at work and had it on in the studio. I saw it live.
All right.
I didn't hear it with sound.
I saw it live, damn it. All right. Well, I mean, it was nice. It was a nice win. Now, if they sweep the Dodgers, then I'll say there's a sign of life. But that was a good one. It was a nice win. But we'll get into more of that. And I've got a bizarre, and I mean really bizarre thing, even for my crazy life, happened to me roughly around like 2:30 in the afternoon yesterday on the east side of Cleveland. We'll get into that coming up in a bit. But right now it's time for Mr. Bombastic, or as Bobby Carpenter refers to him as, Boner.
All right, Chico. Well, I want to start things off with Chris Jones, because it's interesting, as it seems on Twitter/X, he's indicated that he's not going to return to the Chiefs until Week 8. Just obviously dealing with that holdout dispute.
Oh, and then he gets paid. Okay. Up to a certain point. Yeah.
Do you think that Jones's actions are fair or foul?
I mean, I'm going to say fair, in that this is what guys do when they want a contract. I mean, and here's the thing. Around the team, we always think of, like, his teammates as saying, like, oh, they're pissed off at him, and Chris, how dare you? They all know that this is part of the business. Now, Chris Jones is an integral part of what you have done, and that included a Super Bowl last year, and he's been great there. And now it's the reality. Nobody feels sorry for Kansas City elsewhere, because you're paying Patrick Mahomes, although now it looks like a steal, but you've had to pay guys. And Chris Jones is saying, all right, well, now it's time for me to get a raise, and if I'm not going to get one, these are the actions I'm going to take. So I'm going to say fair. I know it's not fair in KC, but this is, I mean, we see it with running backs, and, this is what guys do. It's their time for a contract, and if they don't get what they want, this is their way of showing it. Right or wrong, it's what they do.
Sure. I guess it's fair to say that that's kind of the way that things go in the NFL.
It is fair to say that, yes.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears to the Browns now, because I read this punishment. I think it was from Monday Morning Quarterback, I want to say, Albert Breer, talking about a disciplinary action that Kevin Stefanski takes that he liked. And he was saying that he heard the consequence that Stefanski uses. His rule is that if a starter gets into a scuffle or a fight during a practice or joint practice, then they have to play in the next preseason game. Now, if a backup player battling for a roster spot gets into some sort of kerfuffle, then he will not be able to play in the following preseason game. So I see what Stefanski's doing here, as a sort of a way to, I guess, motivate them not to get into...
Take the attention off of Cade York. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're finally talking about something other than Cade York on the Browns.
Yeah.
I think... Well, I guess I want to ask you, do you think that this disciplinary action out of Coach Stefanski is fair or foul? Because you are risking a starter getting hurt in a preseason game by playing him extra. I was curious to get your take on that.
I mean, I guess it's fair. I mean, I like, if they play the next game, do they say how long? I mean, even when they do play, the starters do play, and a lot of times they'll get that, hey, you're going to be off this week, so you don't. But if he does play, I don't think he's in there for 3 quarters of football. So, I mean, I'd like to see everybody held to the same standard, and I'll just leave it at that. But, yeah, I mean, I'll go fair on that.
All right, Chico. Well, moving on, we have obviously Brett Boone coming up here at the top of the hour.
We do.
Yeah. And you mentioned some big storylines around the league, but one that I think is, and I don't believe we touched on it yet today, Terry Francona. And I did mention before the show I wanted to bring this up to you, and Ronald, our good buddy, reminded me. Fair or foul, Chico? Tito retires after this season.
I'm going fair. Now, nobody's going to believe this, but I did have an off-air conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, it feels like this just feels different. Like, okay, Terry Francona. And first of all of you idiot, and I'm calling you an idiot if you feel he should be fired and fired early in the year at any point. Like, that's just stupid. But Terry Francona has known and has done a remarkable job, which people need to take more notice of the real constraints that are on him as a manager of a team that is not going to spend a lot of money. Like, you've got to juggle things, and he has done that very well. I get the sense, just my personal opinion, it's nothing that I've heard, it's nothing that I've read, it's just my opinion. This feels like this year, I've always said, like, in a front office and a manager, understand this. You're never going to see eye to eye on everything. I mean, they've admitted as much. Like, yeah, we, believe it or not, I feel like this year has been different. I feel like, Tito is always been tasked with, hey, we want you to win first and foremost. We'd also like you to get a good idea of what's going on with some of these younger guys so we can get a look, and if we need to showcase them to trade them. Like, I don't want to say that, but that's the reality, and we all know that. This year, the organization, I think, and you can blame Tito all you want, I think the front office kind of failed him in terms of not only the two signings that went awry in Zunino and Josh Bell, who I think homered for the 58th time in the last week, but not only have those signings gone awry, but on top of that, this middle infielder thing that we've been talking about this for 2 years. Like, well, what are they going to do with this guy? Are they going to move this guy? And I'm not saying it's easy, but I think now all of a sudden it's like, well, we're struggling. Well, let's see this guy, that guy. That's not fair to Tito. And he's made mistakes too. I'm not saying Tito is innocent in all this, but again, those of you that say that he should be fired, you're an idiot. I don't know how else to say it. But I think that it has gotten to the point, both sides. I'm not going to say it's there's bad blood or anything like that, but I think and let's face it, Tito is getting up there. And Tito has had health issues, and he's always said when it's no longer, because when he manages, he gives everything he's got. He's there bright and early. He stays late. Like, he lives, eats, sleeps, craps baseball. So if Terry Francona wakes up and he's not energized and ready to roll, he said he's going to hang it up. And I just have this sneaking suspicion that that's where he's at right about now.
Yeah, it certainly feels like things are veering in that direction. And I hope that it does end up being like a positive send-off, because I think he still is beloved by the players in that clubhouse. And frankly, if he was still healthy and felt like he could do it, I think they would want him to stick around. But I get where
I think the players, we heard it from writers. Like, there was no, put it this way, Chris Antonetti, and I'm not saying I disagree with the trade. I said Savali had to go. I'll stand by that. But Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff, they had to fly to Houston, for God's sake, to address these guys. That's never, I don't remember ever hearing anything like that. So when it gets to that point, that tells me that, okay, the players are frustrated. So if the players are frustrated, the manager's probably frustrated. I think it's just reached that point. I think he's going to retire after this season. Yes, Bone, go ahead. I know you're super, you can't wait to get that next. Go ahead.
Well, on more of the bright side of the Guardians organization.
They won last night. Yes, they did.
They did win. Yeah. But I'm looking forward, Chico, because a certain prospect by the name of Chase DeLauder has
You know about Chase DeLauder?
He's really established himself in the single A scene. reaching safely on 25 of his first 28 games. Of course, had to miss last season due to foot surgery.
Is this going to be fair or foul? Does he get a call up?
No. I'm not saying I don't expect him to come up this year. He's still in single A.
Oh, okay. I was hoping. That's why I wanted to.
Now,
say.
every season though, Chico, there's that one prospect that you're just waiting for the Guardians organization to bring up, and it feels like it's not soon enough, right? Like this year, it was Bo Naylor. In years past, Bobby Bradley was a player who had a lot of hype when he was in the minors. With that, I want to ask you, fair or foul, is DeLauder going to be this year's guy that everyone wants to see brought up at some point?
No, it's George Valera, I think. I mean, they're.
If Valera starts the season with the Guardians, or you don't think he will?
Say it again?
If Valera starts the next season with the Guardians.
I mean, he could. I'm just saying that lends. Your question was, is that the guy, is DeLauder the guy that everybody's going to be pining for? I'm saying, like, Valera's finally healthy. He's hot right now. And what is it the Guardians have been, waiting for, and fans have been waiting for and complaining about, and justifiably so? Where are these guys in the outfield? Valera is to me the guy that I think everybody should have their eye on. Like, okay, when do we get to see this kid? That would be my assessment.
Sure, and I guess I was thinking of it more of like, say if. Because I was referring to like throughout the course of next season. So if Valera were to start next season off on the roster,
that's a big leap. You can't. I mean, okay. No, we don't know that. That's
you
why
would know better than I would.
That's why you want to see him. Like he's put it this way, in their minds, he's going to be a starter. But to say that he's penciled into the opening day lineup, like right now, you've got to. This is why we all want to see him, see what he's got.
All right, Chico. Well, I want to go back to football because I think one name that has. Set Brown's Twitter alight, Austin Watkins continues to make plays as we're seeing in practice. A couple of clips that went viral. Now, obviously, it's just preseason practice, right? But I guess that it's fair to say that there's a lot of hype on his name right now. He's done it both on and off the field,
What's off the field?
Well, on the practice field.
Oh, okay.
On the real field and the practice field.
I didn't know if you saw him at a local soup kitchen. Like,
I hear he's a good kid too, Chico.
Oh, okay, all right. I knew that would be right up your alley.
Yeah, so
he was teaching a kid guitar.
You know what? There was that one receiver that we had that always did the air guitar, and they like asked him if you actually played guitar. It was a preseason receiver, and they cut him before the start of the season, and they asked him if he actually played guitar. No, it wasn't a tight end; it was a receiver. He signed with another team.
Was Kajus a tight end? I thought he was a wide receiver.
No, he's a tight end. Yeah.
Boy, you.
But I reached out to him and said, "Hey, if you're looking for guitar lessons, I got you."
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't remember who it was? No, you reached out to him and you don't know who?
I'd have to like dig through the Twitter DMs.
Okay, go ahead.
Fair or foul, Chico? By season's end, Austin Watkins will be, I guess, the fourth receiver on the Browns depth chart.
Fourth receiver? Oh, gosh. I mean, right now, let's just say I'm going to go foul on that. I want him to make the team. That's not a given. Again, and every year this happens, but I think, again, more things that we should be talking about other than Cade York, but unfortunately we can't because of Cade York. But Austin Watkins, Ronnie Hickman, are there going to be room for these guys on the roster? And understand this, let me say again, because I do the same thing. We all do it as fans. As soon as you hear about the 53 and the 53-man roster, immediately our thoughts go to it's the final 53-man roster. It's kind of like opening day in baseball, right? It is a huge deal, especially if you love baseball, like I do and many people do. Opening day it's kind of like a holiday, but for the players and it's special, but it's one of 162. So I would say that the first 53-man roster. Now, when you're talking about a guy like Watkins and Hickman, if they don't make it and you release them, again, this is where it gets tricky, is do they clear waivers? Do 31 other teams say, nah, we're not interested, and then you can grab them back? I don't think for either of those guys that would happen, but that's something for Andrew Berry to figure out.
That'll do it for today's Fair or Foul.
Good job. Good job. All right, we'll break. We come back, shifting gears to the Diamond. Terry Francona hinting at retirement. Things not good in the Big Apple with Uncle Arnie. and a really, really good race brewing in the National League as far as that wild card. We'll talk about it with Booney. Brett Boone, the former All-Star second baseman, host of the Brett Boone podcast. That is on the way. Chico Bormann Show right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Bormann Show as we roll through it on this Wednesday afternoon. And glad to have you along. Of course, if you're new to the program, welcome aboard. You can follow us on Twitter, stream live at Chico Show CLE, also on YouTube. If you're not a subscriber right now, we'll get on board and type in the Chico Bormann Show, hit subscribe. You're all set to go. Now available, too, wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. So social media team doing their thing. All right. It is time to talk a little baseball. Bohm, are we good? You wanted to? Okay. And that is our guy, the former All-Star second baseman, former pro player. Shout out to Dan Levy. Brett Boone joining us on the program. Bohm is back, so I know that means Booney is going to be much more at ease and much more content for this episode. Booney, how are you, bud?
I'm doing well. Big Bohm back in the house.
We here, baby.
Was that what was it? That was like a hand grenade?
Yeah, I
get a wild answer.
Bohm's kind of.
Let's go.
He's not confident with his answers today. He's very. It's just I think he's still recovering from the vacation that he went on, the gigs that he was rocking out down in Myrtle Beach and all that stuff. Groupies, Booney. A lot of groupies for Bohm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
We all need to get away, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you just getting back from Mexico not long ago. That was I like that backdrop. Like, I think even though you're back home, I think you should try to recreate that Mexico backdrop because it just made you look relaxed, and not that you don't look relaxed, but you know what I mean. I think you should look into that for the backdrop.
Get it. Yeah. I get it.
Okay.
I get it. All right. Point taken.
All right, let's roll with this here. Booney, I'll tell you what. I'm going to start right here in Cleveland because, as many people know, certainly here in Cleveland, but it's starting to leak out now. Terry Francona's had an amazing career, Hall of Fame manager, no doubt. As is the case with a lot of managers, and you know this all too well. As soon as things go south, well, you got to fire the guy, and we've had people say that this year. That's nothing new. This is the first time I've heard Tito, kind of just throw out there the possibility of retirement. And I would say, we're making it just feels just in my gut. And I know you don't have any first. I'm just curious your thoughts. It feels like this year has been more of a struggle than previous years as far as trying to win and, keep the front office satisfied as far as young talent and who to play and who not to play. And the bottom line is this guy has had some health issues. I just get the sense that maybe that fire is starting to just kind of simmer a little bit. Your thoughts?
No, definitely could be. I mean, Tito's had a great career to this point. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he's done after this year. But usually, if you say it, you got one foot out the door. If you're even talking about it,
you've said that before. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you are going to say it out loud, out of your mouth, you're serious about it. Because when we're in the battle, when we're in the middle of it, we don't even consider walking away. It's like, no, what are you talking about? That's not even an option. But once you start thinking about it, and he's going to go out on his terms, and
he should.
Yep. Yeah, he should. He's a great guy. He's had a great career. Won world championships, and all of us get to a point where it's like, that's enough. Boch got to it a few years ago, Bruce Bochy, and he was having some health problems, stepped away from the game, and all of a sudden he was feeling good. He stepped back into the game. Now he's winning the division in the West. So it doesn't mean he's gone forever, but maybe right now Tito just wants to take a step away from the game, and we'll see what happens as the season plays out. If the Indians got on a run, it might change his mind. But to this point, we haven't seen that.
One of the things, and this isn't BS. I mean, we've done plenty of shows together, and I would say after about the first month of working with you and talking with you off the air too, where it was like, okay, I mean, this guy gets it. He knows that I'm not going to go somewhere that he doesn't want to go, but at the same time, I appreciate the fact that you've been very honest and upfront. So we go to New York, and it's bad. I mean, there's really no getting around it. They've lost 9 straight. I think along the same lines, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the air. I've said this many times myself to others, and when you're not on with me, that I think the majority of this is on Brian Cashman. But the bottom line is, it's been clear. We've made jokes about it. We laughed a little bit about Uncle Arnie being frustrated, and it seems to me, Booney, like this could be, I'm not saying it is, but it could be one of those situations where, man, you know what? It might be best for both sides. I know we're talking about a guy's livelihood, so I'm not taking that lightly. But I'm curious if it's gotten to that point and has been kind of all year, that maybe is it headed in that direction?
Well, what it's got to in New York that I see, Brian Cashman, I think he's got 5 World Series under his belt as general manager of the New York Yankees. Been there forever. I think the longest tenured general manager in baseball right now. It gets to a point where it does what they're doing in New York now. It's almost like a protest. And even though the people protesting aren't the baseball on the ground professional, understand the game inside and out, they're the fans that go to the games. And if it gets loud enough, it still affects you individually. It still affects your bottom line. It affects your franchise. So whether Cashman and the Yankees part, he just signed. Hal Steinbrenner just signed him to a new deal a year ago.
Right.
I think the problem with New York is this: they're in a time capsule. It's not 1956, but yet New York, the fan, and believe me, I appreciate the heck out of New York because of their attitude of, we're in this to win the World Series. I love that going into each year. But you also have to be able to step back and be a realistic person. It's not 1956, it's 2023. Sports franchises in today's game, you don't just rattle off world championships like that. And I think because of the resources, because of the money in the game, because It's not just the evil empire, the New York Yankees. You got a lot of teams that got a lot of money and are doing a lot of great things. So it's not like the old days. It's not Rod Dato with the USC Trojans in 1959.
Look at you,
where we just roll over everybody every year, and you go to USC and there's 30 world championships. That was then. That's not 2023. It's an unrealistic view. Now, everybody gets to a point in their tenure where they need to move on and part ways. And I'm not saying at all, I like Brian Cashman. I think he's held to a higher standard because of the New York Yankees. And if you lose there, boy, if you don't go to the playoffs, I mean, they've won 100 games. What I think 3 out of the last 5 years gone to the playoffs every year. And this year, it doesn't look like they're going. Does that mean, oh my gosh, you are the worst human being? You suck at what you do. Get the hell out of here because one time you didn't go. I think it's a little harsh. I think it's what makes New York because of unrealistic expectations. But as a player, I love it. I love being held to that standard of, hey, you better win, or I love everything about it. I think at the end of the day, you got to be able to step aside, look in the mirror, and say, this, in the big scheme of things, how important is it? Yes, it's my livelihood. How serious should I take? I need to win every single year, or I'm going to have my feet to the fire. I don't know. I think as an athlete, I love it because being an athlete and being an entertainer, it's not the real world. It's not the real world, but you get paid a ton of money and there's a ton of perks to do it. And what comes with that is you get seriously critiqued. If you don't want to get critiqued, don't make a lot of money and don't be a New York Yankee. That's what I've always said.
You're right.
I love it.
Now, okay, I'll have you, and this might be a little delicate, but again, you've been good about this.
Well, that's what you like to do.
Right, exactly.
So go ahead,
Chico. Prying. So, I mean, okay, put the brother hat on now. Just forgetting about the manager situation. You love Uncle Arnie.
I talked to him last night. He called me. I said, I was waiting for you to win a game before I reached out.
Of course you did.
I said,
and hopefully you got to laugh about that.
We might not talk till next month, so I'm glad you called.
So, as just somebody who cares about your brother, like we all do, are you concerned that, you know what, man, this is starting to affect? I mean, he's a fiery guy. You've said that. We've all said that. We've seen that. Are you, just from a brother, are you concerned that, man, this is really eating at him?
About his health?
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to him last night on the phone, and he seemed just fine. I mean, he gets a little more worked up than the average guy. He really does, because of that passion that burns in him.
Thank God he has you to keep him back.
I think I have as much passion about when I played the game as he did, every bit as much. I show it in a different way.
Right.
It's right on his sleeve. But it was a good talk last night. We talked a little bit about the situation and what's going on, how tough it is. And we talked about life. But his overall demeanor was really good, considering everything going on. Almost like, Brett, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. This group of guys have never seen us not succeed and not play well. And yeah, a lot of things have gone wrong. That's starting rotation. You're supposed to have Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, a legitimate Severino, Rodon, who's a big offseason acquisition, who's on the IL again.
What the hell happened to Luis Severino, by the way? I thought Severino was going to be the next big thing, and he just...
and he's healthy right now, and he's got an ERA north of 8.
Odd.
And now the majority of the reps and the starts have gone to a Clark or a Schmidt and a Brito. I'm actually impressed with Schmidt. When he started off as a starting pitcher, I said, this guy is not a big league starting rotation guy, especially on a top tier team. Schmidt's really impressed. He's done better than I thought. But the fact is, the New York Yankees weren't planning on having Garrett Cole, Brito, Schmidt, and then a cast of other guys that we've never heard of. It was supposed to be Severino, Rodon, Nestor Cortez. Well, the latter three, they haven't been available, and when they have, they've been ineffective, and now they're all hurt again. So he's got a world-class bullpen. but you can't get to the bullpen. If you can't get to the bullpen, it doesn't matter how world-class you are. Donaldson's out. LeMahieu's is not having a good year. Torres having a decent year. Rizzo's out again with the concussion protocol.
Wow.
Bader's been in and out of the lineup. Giancarlo Stanton's hitting 200.
And is due how much more money on his contract? 100?
A lot. And Aaron Judge, who's probably the most important person to his team outside of Shohei Ohtani,
easily
has missed 2 months. And how can you not win, Yankee fans said. Well, take a realistic view and say, that's why we can't win.
And you're not playing in the American League Central. Like, this is the AL East, by the way. Brett Boone, the former All-Star second
I'm not mad at anybody. It's just sports, and that's the way it is. But at some point, we have to have a realistic moment.
Sure.
I laugh at the, the talk shows. Oh, Cashman's got to go. Aaron Boone, he just lost the team. He doesn't care anymore. What a joke!
If anything, it's too much. Yeah.
Right. Who are these people?
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what we do. We're in the entertainment business. Got to have something. Got to have a headline today.
You're telling me. All right. One final thing on the Yankees thing, then we're going to let it go because just to kind of put a capper on what you said earlier about it, the times have changed a little bit. Now, look, you're right. New York every year, and that is kind of cool. I mean. As a Cleveland guy, Cleveland fan, I wish the landscape in baseball was more of an on equal footing. But if you're a New York fan, you love that. Here's what I'll say, though, because you've heard it as much as I have lately that, well, if the boss was still alive, this would – first of all, like Giancarlo Stanton. Okay, let's talk about Stanton. What are you going to do in that situation? The dude is not even coming close to earning what he is being paid – and he still has a boatload left. Like, you can sit here and pretend all you want that, Big George is gonna wave a magic wand, and that's
if George was alive, give me a break.
I've been hearing that.
That's a silly scenario.
Yeah. All right.
The George days were unbelievable. George Steinbrenner made the Yankees the Yankees.
Yep.
In my opinion, one of the most influential people in the history of our game. He made them what they are, and that's where his greatness lies. But to drum up the past and, if George were here, he'd really scold those guys. Okay, you believe that. It's 2023. It's a different animal.
And like that's going to work on today's
right. Different finances are involved.
Now I'm going to hit a double in the gap. The boss is mad. I'm going to hit a double in the gap right here. That's
exactly.
He's ticked.
Exactly. Now I love that. I would. We've talked about this before in the program. I would have loved to get to play for the Yankees by the end of my career. Players appreciate owners like George Steinbrenner. They really do.
Yeah.
It's on its sleeve. You'll be on the if you're making a lot of money.
Just ask Cleveland fans their opinions on that matter.
One of the main guys, if you're one of the big guys in the lineup making a lot of money and you're not producing, George Steinbrenner will put you in headlines.
And even if you are producing, he'll still put you in headlines just because if he doesn't like you.
But at the trading deadline, he's going to go out and get the best player he can find to help you win. And as players, that's all we can ask about. So I would have loved to get to play in that type of situation. I think it's cool. And it goes back to as players that want to make a lot of money, want to succeed, ultimately want to win a world championship. When you sign up for that scenario, a lot of critique comes with that, and you got to be prepared for that. You got to know what you're signing up for, and that's New York sports. All right,
a few more minutes with Brett Boone, the former All-Star second baseman, host of the Brett Boone podcast. All right, now we talk about changes to the game and this and that, rule changes, but also the wild cards, the expanded playoffs. I will say this. Like, you look at the National League right now, and you've got the Phillies, who are comfortably, I guess you'd say, in front, 3.5 as far as the wild card. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, who are tied. You have the Giants, the Reds, both a half game back, and there's obviously 2 spots available if we're to say Philadelphia has one. But essentially 2 spots available. The Cubs, Diamondbacks are tied. Giants and Reds a half game back. The Marlins 1 game back. That is what it was designed to do, create excitement in the dog days of August into September. This is done. Who do you like in that to emerge?
And the best team out of all of them is sitting right behind them.
San Diego.
5.5 back, that's San Diego.
Yep.
They're still a better team than all those you just mentioned.
Should be, absolutely.
But
for the
rhyme
money.
or reason, no idea why I still can't figure it out. Still, I look every day. They still pitch number one in the National League. Number one rotation, number one bullpen. San Diego Padres, on paper, best offense in either league. 5.5 out. How many are they out in the division? Only 17.5 behind
everybody. I think you called that beginning of the year. You're like, Chico, we're going to talk in late August, and the Padres are going to be near 20 games back. I mean, it's crazy.
I don't understand it. Okay, what do you want to know?
So who do you like? I mean, let's say Philly, and again, there's a lot of.
I like Philly. I like Philly to be in.
Okay, so there's.
I think at this point, obviously Atlanta, best team in baseball. Dodgers just went on a 17-3 run.
But our Guardians beat them last night. Damn it.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Guardians to creep to 5 behind the Minnesota Twins. I think
like Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, Reds.
I like Milwaukee
Marlins.
to win the division. They pitch better than the others. I like Philly.
But if you had to pick two teams right now for two final two wild
I never thought final two wild card spots.
Yeah, like Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, Reds,
Philly,
and
right?
Marlins.
We're saying Philly's
we'll say Philly's in, and you've got the Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, Reds, Marlins.
Diamondbacks in Miami.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that.
Miami. Diamondbacks have something special about that team. I don't think it's talented as the upper echelon teams, but something special is with that Arizona team this year. I don't think they can go deep into the postseason, but I think they can get there. Matter of fact, I don't think any of these teams can that I'm about to put in. Miami, I think they pitch, and they've got something to that offense. They've got a little bit of a culture thing going on down there. Guys are enjoying playing the game. They're enjoying one another. Seems like those kind of a little Tampa Bay thing going on from a player's perspective.
All right, so
I like the Miami thing.
Okay, last thing, and I actually wanted to leave this at the end, and I applaud you for your patience because I know that you're pretty damn excited, and I would be too. Your Seattle Mariners are freaking rolling right now, and okay, they're a game back in the division. They're in the wild card hunt. I mean, there's still a lot of baseball to be played, but they've won 8 in a row, and I think. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get to what I think here in a second. Your thoughts on the Mariners right now, just continuing to roll, and what's at the heart of this run that they're on?
It's unbelievable what they just went on, and what goes unsaid. Okay, the Seattle Mariner team, they won 8 in a row. This is a few weeks ago. Then they played Baltimore and they played Kansas City. They lost 3 straight after winning 8 straight. All 1-run games. 2 of them were extra innings, which they had no business losing. At the trade deadline, the one thing the Mariners did, which tells me where Jerry DiPoto's head was, he came out a couple weeks prior to the deadline and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if this team warrants going and getting somebody at the deadline. He said that 2 weeks in advance. That tells me whatever moves he makes at the deadline is what he feels in his heart. What he did at the deadline, very small. He traded their closer, Sewald. Those 3 games were determined by that closer's position, the 9th inning. So they could win 8 in a row. They lose 3 in a row, heartbreak games, and then they win 8 in a row again. So really, this is getting greedy. You're going to win all 3, but they could have just rattled off. They've played good enough to win 19 in a row. That's how hot they've been. That's why I still look at the Padres and are so talented. I just saw the Mariners do it, climb out of the basement where they were left for dead. They're not only in the wild card if the game ended, if the season ended today. I think you mentioned it. They're one game out of the division. I never thought, even a month ago, Chico, if you'd have said, hey, they got a chance to win the division, I say you're crazy. It's going to be Texas. It's going to be Houston. But Texas and Houston have come back to the pack. Texas has just lost 6 straight. In the middle of this, now Evaldi's going to be coming back. They're going to get better. This is their first test this year because Texas, like Atlanta, just been rolling since the beginning. Now they've hit a little bump in the road. See how they weather that. But it's pretty awesome to Seattle making a run like this. They've won 90 games the last 2 years, 21 and 22. They won 90 games. One of the years they got to the postseason. And we're close. It was game 1 against Houston when they got up 7 or 8-0 on Verlander, ended up losing that game, and then Houston took care of business. I think if they win that game, it's a different postseason for the Seattle Mariners a year ago, but it is what it is. But the common theme in both those years, 21 and 22, is they've come on late and they've gotten hot late and they've made a run. Well, they're doing it again. They're doing a little earlier than they did the past 2 years, but wow.
And Booney,
it's made that division really exciting.
They could be, I mean, I look at them and, okay, first you got to get in, obviously. So you want to keep playing like this, but like they get in, Booney, and you've got Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, like all of a sudden, like, oh, wait a minute. We forgot about these guys. They could sneak up. Who knows? I mean, we saw Philadelphia do what they did.
Well, it goes beyond that. It goes to Miller and Wu. It's similar to your Cleveland ball club with the young pitching staff.
Yeah.
This Kirby kid, by the way, you heard it here. In the next 3 years, he's going to win a Cy Young. He's that good.
He's on my fantasy team, which is
if he remains healthy. That's always the big thing, remaining healthy, which is a skill, actually, in today's day and age. I look at if you remain healthy, it's like a skill. Nobody can do it. Kirby's going to win a Cy Young. Castillo is the current anchor of that staff, but Kirby, Gilbert, Wu, Miller behind them. They've got a really good pen. Like I said, I don't like to see Sewald being traded at the deadline. It was kind of the same move they made a couple years ago when they moved Graveman to the Chicago White Sox, who was an intricate part of that bullpen.
Brash and Munoz are filthy. Those two are nasty.
They're filthy, but are they ready for the 9th inning?
Great
You're
point.
right. From a stuff perspective, when Brash has got his good stuff, it's about as nasty as it gets. He just takes that breaking ball, wraps it as hard as he can, and just throws it. And the nights that it's on, he reminds me kind of like a Rob Dibble back in the day. He can throw a slider that misses the strike zone by 2 feet, and it's so nasty on given evenings that you still chase it. That's how good of stuff he's got. Munoz, equally good stuff, but there's the mentality that comes with that, and that usually is based on experience. Neither of these guys have that 9th inning game on the line experience yet. So I think it's going to be bullpen by committee for now in Seattle. But as long as they keep scoring 7-8 runs and Julio's in the lineup, it doesn't really matter because there's no closing situation. It's 8-1 in the 7th. Julio, can we talk about him for a second?
Yeah,
I thought it was a typo.
I want you to.
He got 17 hits in 4. What is he playing? Wiffle ball?
That's insane. Yeah,
I've never heard of that in my life. Let me put it in perspective. If I get 4 hits in one game in a week, man, that's pretty good. If I have 2 4-hit games in a month, it's pretty good. He had 4 4-hit games in a row, and one of them he threw an extra in. He had 5. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Now you're going to come around and say you like what he did with that catch, and
I hate it. I hate it.
Damn.
Stupid.
I really liked it. I really did. I liked what he did.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But he's a generational talent.
He is. He's fun to watch.
He's that type of talent. I mean, this guy is he's got 30 bags. I mean, he's got 30 stolen bases. He's gonna go be a 25 whatever. He might be a 30-30 this year.
He's a guy I would love. Like, we've seen him on the big stage All-Star break, and I want to see him in the big, because I think he's a guy that, okay, he's a star, and really, I mean, talent-wise could be a superstar, but you know as well as I know, Booney, it's October, what you do in October, and something tells me, like, if he gets that opportunity and shines, I mean, his Q rating would just
Chico,
skyrocket.
Julio is he's already a superstar.
I agree with that.
I mean, he's one of those where, my MO is what I need to see a little bit more, right? I see a young kid come on the scene, have some success. Yeah, that's great, but I got to see a little more before I'm a true believer. When they signed this kid to this 200 and whatever $1 million deal with a half a year under his belt in the big leagues, I agreed with him. I said, I've seen enough. That talent right there doesn't go away. It's like Vladimir Guerrero as a hitter. Vladimir, I mean, not only senior, but junior. I don't care on his worst year. He's still a great hitter. That's generational talent. That doesn't go away. I don't need to see more. When they signed Julio to that deal, I didn't need to see more because that's just talent that doesn't come along very often.
Yep.
And he's showing that right now. But you're right. You got to remember, though, this kid's only 22 years old. He's 22.
Scary.
He's 22 years old. He's a kid. I was finishing up in AAA, getting ready to get called up when I was 22. He's the face of the franchise already with a $200+ million deal. It's really tough to fathom. But I think when we're talking about certain players, guys like him, you got to remember he's 22 years old. He's only 22. He needs a little more experience before he can be that guy. He can be that Bryce Harper.
The host of the
Mike Trout.
Yep. Host of the Brett Boone podcast, as well as being a former pro player. Booney, who's coming up on the podcast? You've been killing it lately, as we've been saying.
We've got who do I have coming up? An interesting one, a favorite of mine, a teammate. And Mark McLemore, who was teammates with my dad, teammates with me.
The Boone.
I thought it'd be
Is he the one that came up with the Boone?
The Boone. Yeah. Yes. My first question out of the tank is, who's a better teammate, Bob or Brett? And you'll have to see the episode to see what he answers.
He'll go Bob. He'll go because Bob.
What else do we got? We got Harold Reynolds coming up, Jenny Finch, and Miguel Tejada. Are the next four. So
Jenny Finch is cool with you after you going yard on her and showing her up. And
Jenny, she loves me. She loves
who
me.
doesn't?
Now, Jenny's good girl. I think I'm interested. I always like. We haven't had too many female guests, but I always like it. It's kind of out of my comfort zone, but I'm really interested in her life and obviously the softball prowess, and she's a world champion,
dominant.
But she's kind of taken on a role. She's kind of the face of women's softball for a generation.
Yep.
So I'm going to be interested. I'm going to have some good questions for her. I'm looking forward to that. That's next week.
All right. Last thing for you. I said this to Bohm off the air yesterday when we said, oh, okay, we got Booney coming up, and it's a big celebration when we talk about that. But I said, Bohm, I'm going to have to ask Booney, like you're a golf fan. We know that. You've gone on golf trips. You like to play golf. Did you get a tip recently, or because it feels like you've got a fever for it, like you always enjoy it, you enjoy playing. It feels like you're on one of those stretches where like, oh man, I got to play as much as I can. Did something click? Is it a grip? Is it something's going on with you, Booney? I can tell.
I'm going through a grip change. I got new clubs, and I've finally gone. Yeah, I've finally gone to the point where I've gotten to the point, and the guy at TaylorMade convinced me. He said, Booney, if you want to play at the next level, and when I say play at the next level, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about
you want to be around a scratch. Yeah.
If you want to be a scratch golfer, he said, you got to get rid of the baseball grip. He said, that's great. And I don't know how you do it. And you got to manipulate the club so much, but if you want to play at the next level, he said, you can sit here and remain a 5-6 handicap and have fun, go off into the sunset, take your shots and go. He goes, but if you ever want to be good, he said, all you got to do is change your grip and practice. So I'm in the middle of that grip change. I'll tell you what, I really like it. I really like it, but the ball's going too far. I'm not used to having the club so square.
The ball's going too far.
As I am. So I'm hearing a lot of that. All right, turn up your mic. I'm hearing a lot more whoosh when I swing. So the ball's going. I'm having a little trouble now controlling my distance.
Oh, that's
plus I just got back from Houston. I went to my buddy's house. I went to my buddy's house in Houston. You got to add 12% because the ball goes so far. So Yes, that is a good. You have a good eye for the game.
But
Chico,
the videos,
yes,
here's the thing, though. Your videos are not as entertaining because your swing is more like
in control a little bit.
Yes, the what made those golf videos. Now, obviously, I would take the golf swing and the golf game getting better over the entertainment value but the entertainment value was watching you go almost Happy Gilmore when you, I mean, you would swing out of your shoes like you played baseball. Now it's like this nice tempo. I changed my grip and ooh, wow, whoosh. Wow, that one went 340 yards. Like, you know what? You make me want to puke. Like,
and it is funny though that you mentioned that because my buddy that I was playing with the other day, and believe me, he's as hard on me as anybody.
I saw
Nothing
that. That was good.
Right. He says to me, I said, his name's Ernie. I said, Ernie, I look back at a couple of these videos, like the swing's actually a pretty good swing. And he just looks at me like, shut up. You got a horrible this, and he goes into his rant. But then I started to think about it, what you were saying. I kind of like that. It is more entertaining when I'm falling over. Look at the pros today. Look at one of the best players in the world, Scheffler. His feet are all over the place.
Yep.
And he's the best player in the world. Bubba Watson. I mean, when he rips drives,
he comes off the ground.
He carries him 350. Yeah, his feet are all over the place. So my quest to have another grip and have a pretty swing, for what? My swing is not pretty. It's like when it's pretty, I'm faking it.
I knew, man, I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here. I knew something was up, Bohm. I'm like, I don't know if it's grip. I don't know if it's a new driver, but he's playing. It looks like he's playing more and he's putting more out there. Like something happened. I knew it. So, hey.
I'll tell you what, though.
Go ahead.
If anybody out there can give me a putting tip, I'm telling you, I got the yips. I'm in my head. It's like I get to the putting green and I start to tremble. I've always been able to putt. I've never been a great putter. I've been a good putter, decent putter. Right now, I'm pathetic. Like I stand over a 4-foot putt, and it looks like a thimble to knock it in. So I'm struggling with the putting right now.
Well, after you say I'm having a hard time controlling my distance, I hope you have the yips for a little while, because right now, and you're in that zone that we all love to be, where you want to practice, you want to play as much as you can because you're feeling it. So I would feel sympathy for you, but I don't. So, good luck with that flat stick, and hopefully you can figure out controlling your distance.
Yeah, you got to control your distance. This is essential in the gentleman's game of golf.
Gentlemen,
quiet, please.
Well, you know what
quiet,
you are.
Please.
You know the term. You'll love it. In college, we were sitting around watching a golf tournament one day, and one of my buddies is like, "Doesn't it sound so dumb when they say he's a good ball striker?" He looks at me and he goes, "Who on the PGA Tour wouldn't be a good ball?" Now, of course, you talk to professional. I know they're going to say, "Well, you can flush it," but like for the common hack like me, wow, he's a really Tiger. He's such a good ball striker. Of course, they're all good ball strikers.
Exactly. How are you on the tour if you're not?
Well, he's a horrible ball striker, but he's been playing well for a dozen years.
He's a horrible ball striker, but he's got 7 majors. I don't know. He just got lucky.
Unbelievable. Booney,
all right, guys.
Always fun, man. Take care. All right. Check him out, the Brett Boone Podcast. I'm having a hard time controlling my distance. He knew what that response was going to bring. He knew it. Boy, I kid you not. I know sometimes I say like, oh yeah, off the air we set it up. I just watching these videos, I'm like, he's got that fever. We've all been there. You hit that one good shot, or you have that one lesson and they moved your grip or they moved your feet, and all of a sudden you hit one. Well, for me, it'd be like all of a sudden you hit one like 260 or 270 right down the middle, and you're like, oh my God, I can't leave here. Well, I mean, there's a wedding in your family. I can't leave here. I can't. Well, what's the matter? You look, you're on the edge of your seat. What's going on? You playing? You got gigs on your head? Girls from the?
I'm just cold, Chico.
You're cold.
I'm like right before the point of shivering.
Things that we have never said.
It's slightly discomforting.
Peek behind. Of course you would. Of course you'd have to add that. Like, it's a bit discomforting. Boom. We have never said. We always joke. Like, I mean, today's a pretty comfortable day outside. A little overcast, cloudy, but temperature-wise, it's fine.
I have not broken a sweat today.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you of all people, and I'm usually hot in here too, but it is comfortable. I'm not cold. Well, you got shorts and a T-shirt.
I should have brought a jacket or jeans. But I didn't know. I was used to it being like a sauna in here.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, what's the matter with you? You know what? All right, we'll come back. I want to touch on, recap what we talked a little bit about there with Booney as far as Terry Francona. I also want to get back to the Browns. Here we go again. Although this time it's the final preseason game, and this time you've got to make a decision. If Cade York, ... We'll talk about that. And my favorite character from Sopranos has emerged, and we'll talk about that as well. Half hour to go. It is a Wednesday right here on the Chico Bormann Show. More to come on the Big Play Sports Network. We are back here on the Chico Bormann Show on the Big Play Sports Network as we have about 25 minutes and change, top of the hour. But, hey, if you missed it live, which you can stream the show live on Twitter at Chico Show CLE and on YouTube, now available on podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Shout out to our buddy Dave. I don't give him it pains me, as he knows and you know, Boom, to compliment him, but I got to tell you, they have, him and Padone have really busted their heinies getting stuff out, and we appreciate it. So check out wherever you get your podcast, Chico Bormann Show. You can listen to an audio version whenever you'd like. All right. I wanted to touch on something quickly because I feel like it's big news. It's on the back burner a little bit because, well, we don't know for sure, and Browns are about ready to start, and the Guardians are kind of irrelevant right now because I know they're 5 games out, but it's been a really frustrating season. Boom, I just call it a feeling in the pit of my gut that says Tito Francona I think he's done after this year. And when I say done, I mean like they're going to come to a mutual decision. Again, and I think it's okay to say, like, I'm sure they've butted heads this year. Manager, front office, like, I think we want to believe because they have had such an incredible relationship, and they have. And that is a credit to the front office, and it's a credit to Tito. But what's the old saying? All good things must come to an end. And I feel like Tito, this has been an extra trying year. Like, physically, he's held up, and that's honestly, I'm so happy about that. We're all happy about that. But I feel like trying to divvy up playing time for young guys and then trying to win games, and then, well, we lost this guy. I mean, some of it they lost their entire rotation. Like Booney was talking about the Yankees. My God, the Guardians. It's all, I mean, that rotation from last year, gone. And it was pretty much from the get-go almost. But I just think that something just doesn't feel right. And I think Booney's usually right about these things, and he said it, that normally if you verbalize it, it feels like you already have 1 foot out the door. And that kind of confirms what I think. I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything other than what Tito has put out there. But I will say over the last few weeks, and really since everything went down with the trade and, everything, I've just felt like he might be done after this year.
Yeah, I mean, just you could tell that he's trying to do the right thing and not put a damper on the season or distract the players. But it sounded like he's already pretty much convinced that things have gone too far.
Well, here's, I guess what I would say, and more will play out. What I would say about this is, and it shouldn't be a secret, but I think, sometimes we don't talk about it enough. Again, back to and I'm one that says, yeah, front office is great. They have a great relationship, and they do. But it feels like trying to win and also, okay, well, let's see Tyler Freeman, and is it going to be Naylor? Isn't it going to be – and I know a lot of people have blamed Tito because he's the face, being the manager. I think you can question things that he's done. He hasn't been perfect. Everybody is screwed up this year. I mean, this year has been bad. And the front office, for a group that is normally top of their game, they misfired. I mean, Zunino and Josh Bell, but I think what really is probably at the core for Tito, if there's frustration, I think clearly there is that it's up to the front office to resolve these. We've got this surplus of middle infielders. Okay, I can for a year, that's fine. 2 years, I can. Now we're still dealing with it. Like, what are we doing? What is the plan? And it felt like the plan was just kind of. It never really lined up. And I think Tito is finally feeling like, look, man, don't be blaming me. I mean, I'm the skipper, but I can only do so much. And I also, the reality is, yeah, they do want me to play certain guys, to see this guy. That's tough, especially when you're trying to balance that with winning in the now. It's not easy to do. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I thought his comments were very telling. All right, real quick, talked about this at the open of the show. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. We'll be talking about it Friday. I hope that we're not talking about it that much Monday. But if we are, I think we know what happened. The number one thing that we're all watching for on Saturday at 1, even if you want to convince yourself or try to convince yourself and others that it's Deshaun Watson and, does the pass game. And that's what we should be talking about. right about now. But the reality is, what is Cade York going to look like on Saturday? And if he doesn't look good, if he misses, if he's not perfect, I mean, honestly, that's where we're at right now. We're looking for, I think as fans, you're looking for any reason to cut him. And I know people might say, well, that's ridiculous. It's harsh. It's reality, and it's reality when you're a kicker. It's a pass or fail thing. It's not well, there was a communication there. The safety, he read this and I read that, and, well, we just, whatever. Oh, you either make it or you don't make it. You drafted him in the 4th round, and right now it's between his ears. If he doesn't get it done Saturday, and this is why I say this becomes the major issue, is you're out of preseason games, okay? Which means you're out of in-game moments. Even though it's preseason, in-game moments, nobody gives a damn if Cade York is booting one from, Parma or Beechwood or Lyndhurst. It doesn't matter. He's got to do it in games. And now, we're just talking about preseason. If he struggles on Saturday, I cannot believe, not saying it won't happen, but I cannot believe that Andrew Berry, who ultimately makes the decision, collaborating with Ventrone and Stefanski and others, I can't believe at the end of the day he's like, all right, let's start the season September 10th with Cade York. Because I think he's doing a disservice. If that's the case, my opinion, just mine, to Kevin Stefanski, to the players, most of all, and that's one of those things, and I'm going way down the line here, okay? I'm definitely, but if that does happen, and let's say another scenario like week 1 in Cincinnati, and they play their asses off, and it comes down to, and guess what? It probably will a lot this year, close games. And he misses one after guys bust their ass for 3 hours. Like it or not, reality is guys are going to be like, dude, what the hell? I mean, we're going out there, we're busting our behinds. We're going through training camp, we're going through mandatory minicamp, we're doing all this sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, we play our asses off, we turn it over to this guy, and he misses the kick. But now it counts, so now they're going to be looking at Andrew Berry. I just don't want to see that happen. I hope that Saturday gets here, and Saturday he is just, he looks confident. Not only are they going through the uprights, but they're going through the uprights with conviction. I've never seen a football have conviction going. Well, I have, but normally you don't assimilate. But that's now what we're looking. Style points, I guess, matter now with Cade York. Just make it look good and him look good. I don't care what he says. We just care about what's actually happening. And right now, this dude cannot be counted on to make a kick. He just can't. It's running through everybody's head, even if you don't want to admit it. So, all right, in closing, so I've got to bring this up. I am now, boom, I meant to bring this up to Booney, but I don't, you know what? He hasn't seen Sopranos either. So,
he hasn't?
No, he hasn't. I thought he did too, but he hasn't.
Maybe that's why Entourage is his favorite show.
Yeah, Sopranos is damn good.
Entourage was phenomenal, by the way. But yeah, Sopranos is like the GOAT television show. It changed the game of TV.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I really liked it. It's like neck and neck. I mean, Bosch Legacy is finally going to start up again. I really enjoyed that. I liked Homeland when it came out. There was a lot of series. This one, it's phenomenal. I mean, Sopranos, it's phenomenal. But the thing that's been, and I've noticed this with you, everybody knows you love the accents and you like, hey, you do, and that's fine. Like, but up until this point, I would be like, oh, here we go again. Now I'm like into it. Now I know where it comes from. Because I'm like, hey, what's it? Hey, ooh, hey, ooh, hey.
Oh. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
Take it easy. Take it. So my favorite character.
Forget about it.
What's the matter with you? So it's not Tony Soprano. He's great. They're all Silvio. Silvio is like, it's like his right hand man that just, he's the steady one. Silvio is Silvio. He's steady. He's the anti-Cade York right now. You know what you're getting day after day from Silvio. And even Tony says, I think at one point during the series, like, hey, you're my guy that I expect to keep it together, and does keep it together. But it's the hair and it's the look. He has that same look on his face every series, and I just start laughing my butt off, no matter what.
His serious face?
It's like this. It's like a pouting lower lip, and then he's got the Kuiper hair, which has to be a hairpiece. But still.
So you've seen, you said you're on season 5 now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so some people say that season 3, episode 11, Pine Barrens, is the greatest Sopranos episode ever. That's the one where Paulie and Christopher get trapped in the woods when they're trying to take care of that guy. And then Tony calls and tells him all about it, how he's like and Paulie just totally misunderstands everything he said.
Yeah, because the cell reception was...
Yeah, like a Czechoslovakian interior decorator. But he was really saying that this was like a defense force guy.
So
some kind of interior decorator.
Like, there have been a lot of scenes where I, like, when Adriana is telling Christopher that there's a chance she might, and of course, you know, there's other storylines going on, I won't, but when Adriana is telling Christopher, my nephew Christopher, that there's a good chance she might not be able to have kids because she had a medical procedure that was magical that pierced her uterus. And Christopher looks at her and goes, both of them? That's ovaries, Christopher. You have 2 ovaries and 1 uterus. Like, some of them are just, they throw it in there, and it's a serious theme. And it is, all right, I'll come out and say it. One thing I don't understand about that culture, and I'm sure it's exaggerated because it's made for TV. Why are the wives okay with, they call them guma, like basically a mistress?
Yeah.
They're okay with, though, like, they know who that mistress is, I guess, and they're okay with it, but God forbid, like, and this happens, well, you got another one. Well, that's, like, he's already basically cheating. Am I right?
I think it kind of eventually got to Carmela. Like, that was a big reason why they split.
That's what I'm saying, though. But, like, she knew. I thought in the beginning, not to interrupt you, Bohm, I thought in the beginning with Carmela that, like, maybe she didn't know that even, but the episode where they're sitting around, they were saying, did you know that the guys are making fun of Bobby because he never had when he you know, and he really, like, he was faithful, loved his wife. And so they're all sitting around. I think it's Carmela that brings it up. So she's like, yeah, you know, they were making fun of him. They're all talking about what they're going to get their gumas for Christmas. And I'm like, she's cool. Like, it's nothing. But all of a sudden, if it's somebody else, if it's another one then all hell breaks loose. That's just odd to me. I mean, how can you be cool with one and not the rest?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question, and you know, it's a TV character, like, how will we ever know? But
yeah,
she definitely put up with a lot.
It is, and I'm, like, right in the heart of, like, there's, you know, separated, all that stuff. But
is Jackie Jr., did he make an appearance yet?
Yes,
he had quite the story arc on that show.
Yeah, I thought he was going to end up being, like, you could see with him.
I loved him. I loved Jackie Jr. He was cool as can be.
Broke Meadows' heart. And then,
yeah,
there have been a lot of surprises, like Ralphie.
Ralph Cifaretto.
Yeah, because you told me that. You told me going in.
Loose cannon of a character.
Yeah, you're like, just wait. If you haven't gotten to the season with Ralphie, that's when it really starts to get good. The other thing I would say is, who was the was it Jackie's brother? Who was originally married to, or was going to marry Janice? And he hit her.
Oh, Jackie's uncle.
Jackie's uncle. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like, that one I didn't see coming from anywhere. Like, he's eating the rigatoni. He hits her, which is horrible. And she, like, turns away. And then next thing you know, he's like, what are you doing? What's wrong? Pop.
That guy was an ass.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
oh, totally.
Richie.
Like, I don't want to say everybody has a license to kill in that situation, but you know, I don't think anybody was crying. I was just shocked that went down. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, Janice is more unhinged than Tony.
Oh, yeah. She's kind of annoying.
She is a little bit annoying.
Was she really ever in love with Bobby? Or was that just like a feel sorry, and then I need something?
It feels like a little bit of Gold Digger.
Because now that they're married, like she doesn't even give a shit about him. Like doesn't even care.
Yeah.
I almost.
She just wants to be set for life.
Yeah. Oh, what a series.
Yeah.
Somebody's out there going, yeah.
Also,
I remember that 10 years ago, Chico. It was really good.
Dealing with New York, the New York mob. I'm not sure how far into it you are in that regard, but like when Johnny Sack comes along, that's a fun character.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I love Johnny Sack.
Yeah, Johnny Sack's good. I just, Silvio, it cracks me up. And you were telling me, great stuff off that he was Bruce Springsteen's.
Yeah, that's one of Bruce Springsteen's guitar players, Little Steven Van Zandt.
Never. And
his wife is his real wife. Like his wife in the show is his actual wife.
She's not shown a whole lot, is she?
She has her appearances, like all the guest parties and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's in like most seasons.
I can't get enough. Every episode, like I've got to see Silvio. He's always dressed to the nines. The hair is never, or piece, whatever, is never out of place, and he always has this look.
He's so perfect for that role.
Oh,
and he already and he was born with that New Jersey accent. He grew up in that area. He is actually bald in real life, so that's a hell of a hairpiece.
That's what you've been saying about mine too.
Yeah, apparently now Paulie Walnuts was very adamant about he would use his own hairspray. Only he could touch his hair. Yeah, it was like that.
Didn't somebody say somebody going to spray paint the sides to make fun of Paulie or something? I can't. By the way, I never knew anybody that was named Paul or a Paulie. I would always hear people before I watched this. I'd hear them say walnuts, and I never knew what it referred to. Now I know what it referred.
Some of the best lines in the show have come courtesy of Paulie Walnuts.
Oh gosh, yeah, and just like the way they having that accent, but then even listening to Tony, you listen to him how nasally he is, and
yeah,
but that's part of the character. I mean,
have you ever heard him talk in real life? He just has a straight it's not East Coast at all. But it's you don't expect it from him. He sounds like a Midwesterner.
Unbelievable stuff. All right, and I realize I'm late to the party, but hey, I'm thoroughly enjoying.
At least you got there.
Yes, I did get here, and we still have season 5, most of it, and all of season 6. All right, we're out of time. We are out of here for this Wednesday. Thanks to Brett Boone for joining us. Of course, as we get closer to Saturday, unfortunately, more Cade York, unless something it won't. He's going to play on Saturday. He's going to be on the roster Saturday. After that, I don't know. I can't guarantee. Nobody knows. Cade doesn't know. Andrew Berry doesn't know. But there are some other storylines, and we're going to track those going into Saturday. The Guardians are taking on the Dodgers tonight. The weather looks. This is as ominous a sky as I've seen since we've been here.
It's supposed to be a short-lived storm.
It hasn't rained yet, I don't think, but it is very ominous looking. And in closing, our boy Apollo, dog, the emotional support dog here at Burke Lakefront Airport, turning 1. They're having a party for him outside. I love it.
Golden Retriever, for those wondering.
Golden Retriever, and now there's other dogs coming in, so it's his buddies are. I love that. If you're not gonna, all right, I feel like Bob Barker here at the end of Price is Right. Have your pet. If you're not gonna throw a birthday party for your dog, then don't. Or celebrate. I don't think you have to throw a party, but celebrate it, treat, whatever, extra special day. Don't get a dog. Have your pet spayed or neutered. So long, everybody. I'm Bob Barker. All right. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 11. Until then, make it a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. See you.